Hi guys, it's Kamau. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a video with a topic. I've decided to entitle this video Men, because I'm addressing the men and I'm asking the question, is 30 the new 50? Is 30 the new 50? What do I mean by that? Why am I asking the men that question? Well, I'm posing that question because I've made a number of observations of the young men in my environs, my neck of the woods, right? So I'm not by any means saying that this is the case right across the board. I'm saying this is the case in my neck of the woods, but my neck of the woods happens to be very big. It's a very big neck. Right. I live in the fastest growing English speaking community in the Caribbean. So I'm speaking from a good vantage point, right? But still by no means am I saying this is the case all across the board. But from my observation, looking at the young men, I'm saying a lot of them look like, because these are men, I'm speaking about men in their 30s, whether from early 30s to late 30s. Making a comparison to what a young man in that range was like a decade ago or 2 decades ago, I see a great difference. So I'm going to run down a list of the differences that I've noticed, right? The first difference, I think this one stands out the most because, it's so obvious, is what you see. They just look so exhausted. They just look so beaten down. They're going, whether they're going to work or they're just hanging on the corner or they're just walking. You don't see that firm gait, that steady stride that you're accustomed to seeing in young men. I know certainly when I was growing up, and even, like I said, just 1 or 2 decades ago, you would see the young men with sprite, with life, with red blood still pumping through them. And I'm noticing nowadays, like they're just slouching, they're barely going, they're barely going. So it's almost as if you're looking at a 50-year-old man. So sorry, so that's why I'm posing the question: is 30 the new 50? Because these young men look old. They act old. Certainly don't behave old. They behave like teenagers still, but their gait, their posture, their stance, it's just depleted, right? And well, in my neck of the woods, many of these young men are actually laborers, right? Because they didn't take the school thing too seriously, and so pretty much ended up having to do the next best, which is because difficult to get jobs, so end up whether on construction sites or as apprentices to the different trades, that kind of thing. So they do heavy work, they do heavy duty work, pretty much. A lot of them, that's how they earn their keep. And so maybe that's a factor, that accounts for the wear and tear that I see in them. But yeah, they just look middle-aged. And I would venture to say, because I see a lot of them, how they move, how they operate, and the clubbing, hanging on the corner, these kind of things, and the over-sexing, because they talk about it and it happens. This is just their frame of mind. They believe that they should just be running the road red at this time in their life. They should be experimenting and experiencing as many people as possible, not realizing that it is depleting them. Because sometimes men have this misconception that these kind of things only affect women in a negative way, right? Like if the woman were to go out and run the road, she would experience wear and tear, and he's not realizing that it's the same thing for him. It's the same thing for him. He's going to break down physically as well as emotionally and otherwise, mentally also. So they think they're invincible, they think they can just go here, there, everywhere with everybody, do as they please, and they don't realize the toll that it's taking. And sometimes it starts with the parents, because the parents tend to be more protective of the girls, and they would be more keeping the girls in and shielding them and allowing the boys to just go and do wantonly, randomly, as they please, because they need to gain experience, they need to know the world, they need to whatever. And so it causes wear and tear on them, and by the time they get to 30, apparently it starts showing. So the next thing I've noticed with this age group, they are, and I keep stressing in my neck of the woods, so you're going to need to comment and tell me what's happening in your neck of the woods. But like I said, my neck is a big neck, so it's a lot of people I'm talking about, right? So they are alcoholics. These young men are alcoholics, late 20s, 30s, going up. They drink heavily on rum, the pure rum, or they mix it with whatever, and hanging out at the bars. Now, when I was growing up, the people who would hang out at bars would be the late 40s, 50s, 60s going up. That's the age group of men who you would see in the bar, right? Nowadays, you go to the bar, you're seeing late 20s, 30s. In addition to the old guy, you know, the old guy is not giving it up, right? But you're also seeing these very young men, and they're walking around with the glass of rum, or whatever the drink is, whatever the alcoholic drink is, very proudly walking down the road with it, sipping it, right? Very proudly so. Not to mention they smoke heavily, and whether it's cigarettes or the ganja, right? Very young men, and we all know that these things take a toll, take a physical toll and a mental toll on the body, right? Another thing that I notice is hair loss. I see a lot of young men going bald, like losing like half the cradle up, the cap up here, gone, no hair. Men in their 30s. Now I know that balding or baldness can be genetic, right? Or can be related to certain conditions. But the rate at which I see it, I'm saying this has to be lifestyle related. Whether it's poor diet or just how they've been running themselves, wrecking themselves. No, I follow the teachings of Dr. Robert Morris, in addition to other persons in the natural health industry, right? And so Dr. Morris would put forward that balding is a result of acidosis in the body, acidic condition of the body, right? and the lymphatic system not working as it should because of poor diet, poor lifestyle choices. So I'm saying, and I tend to follow that. I agree with that, right? It makes sense to me, because the hair gets nourishment from the diet. And if your body is in an acidic condition, what do acids do? They burn, and they would cause hair loss, that kind of thing. So I tend to go with that way of thinking. So I'm seeing these guys. I mean, some of these are guys who I taught. Some of these are my former students, like from they were 9, 10 coming up. And then I see these guys in their late 20s, 30s, and no hair up here. What's your explanation for that? My explanation is their poor lifestyle choices, the poor eating, the alcohol and the smoking and all of these things, and God knows what else that I'm not privy to, but it's just a trend that I noticed. Just airing my observations and wanting to know if you guys are observing the same thing, or is just my neck of the woods. Is it just maybe it's something atmospheric in my neck of the woods? Maybe it's the water in my neck of the woods, the air in my neck of the woods. I don't know. I'm just telling you my observations. In addition to the balding, what you also have to is the graying. So those who still have the hair, it's going gray in their 30s. In their 30s. No. I've heard a number of young men, because as I always say, I eavesdrop in public, because that's one of the ways that I get inspiration for my books and for my posts and my videos, right? And I've heard a number of men talking to themselves, to each other rather, expressing concern about erectile dysfunction. And I visited a friend last year. I visited a friend of mine, and there were some men working close by, and they were talking, because when these men are working, they talk loud and they don't care. They're laughing and having fun and making fun of each other and that kind of stuff. And well, they didn't know I don't think they knew I was there. Not that they would have cared really, because that's just how they are when they're working together. They just talk anything. And they were talking about the fact that sometimes they can't get it up, that's their slang for it. They can't get it up. And I remember one of them was saying, well, as long as I have Viagra, I'm good. Long as I have the Viagra, I'm good. And I'm saying, I think that one was like 40 something. That guy was talking. And I'm saying, late 30s, 40s, I'm talking about long as you have Viagra. Isn't that concerning? That's concerning to me, because I thought Viagra was for, the top of the hill guys. But these are men who have accepted. Basically, they're joking about it. So I know this is something men typically wouldn't joke about. So that's another thing. They have gotten to the point where they accept it so much, they're joking about this. I know this is something men take very, very seriously, normally. And these men were casually saying, well, it's not an issue. I can't get it up naturally, but it's not an issue because I have the Viagra I can go for. So I mean, the cougars you have some cougars, you have some cougars who might be deceived that they're going to get these guys because of their stamina, their prowess, whatever. You may be in for a surprise. Cougars. You may be in for a surprise. Be very careful because don't take it for granted. Now, another thing I noticed, these guys, so these guys in their 30s, from early to late 30s. A lot of them don't have any children. Now, I'm not saying they should, because trust me, some of them are so immature. Many of them unemployed, very giddy. So it's not like, I mean, they're wayward. It's not like I'm saying they should go and have it. I'm just saying, back in the day, these guys at this age would have had, in Jamaica, as we say, would have him youths, 1 or 2 youths already. It would just be the norm for him. Physically, just the fact of going around with these women, he would have produced some youth. And it's not happening. And these are not very careful guys when it comes, typically not very careful when it comes to sex, right? And you're not seeing them with any youth, so I'm saying maybe it's a case of, you know, they just can't produce children anymore. I don't know, I'm just looking at the whole situation. I'm saying, I'm trying to put the pieces together, and it's something that is concerning. I'm just looking at the trend, I'm looking at these guys, and I'm saying, this is not the way I know it to be, you know, growing up, even just not too long ago. This is not how I know it to be. So I'm saying, what is happening? What is happening? But let me say to the brothers, take care of yourselves. Don't feel, you are sacred. Just like how a woman would be telling herself she's sacred, her body is a temple, and she needs to preserve that. She needs to respect that temple, keep it safe, and keep it pure, for want of a better word. You guys, you have to think of yourself like that too. And don't feel like you can throw yourself here and there without consequence. There are consequences, and I'm seeing, I think some of these guys are reaping the consequences of that kind of lifestyle now. I honestly think that is what's happening. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think, and I urge you, brothers, to just be more careful, be more mindful of the things that you do. You want your body to serve you for the time that you're on the planet, and hopefully you want to be here for a long time. And when you decide to settle down, you don't want to be, when you're ready to settle down, when you find someone who you think is worthy of settling down with, you're going to give her your broken down self. Is that what she deserves? After you don't wreck yourself, and now you find someone who is worthy of settling with, she's going to settle with the brought down self. We're going to need Viagra for the rest of your life.